Hi friends, welcome to the lectures on traditional Indian theatre forms. Today's lecture is based on Jatra. Jatra or Yatra, meaning procession or journey in Sanskrit, is a popular folk theatre form of Bengali theatre, spreading throughout most of Bengali-speaking areas of the Indian subcontinent, including Bangladesh and Indian states of West Bengal, Bihar, Assam, Odisha and Tripura. As of 2005, there were some 55 troupes based in Calcutta's old Jatra district, Chitpur Road, and all together Jatra is a 21 million industry performed on nearly 4,000 stages in West Bengal alone, where in 2001 over 300 companies employed over 20,000 people, more than the local film industry and urban theatre. The word Jatra means journey or going. The origin of Jatra, intrinsically a musical theatre form, is traditionally credited to the rise of Shri Chaitanya's Bhakti movement, wherein Chaitanya himself played Rukmani in the performance of Rukmani Haran, the abduction of the charming Rukmini. From Krishna's life story, a first definite presentation of this theatrical spectacle. The performance, which lasted throughout the night in 1507 AD, has been described in Chaitanya Bhagavata, Chaitanya's hagiography by a disciple, Vrindavan Das Thakur. Though there are evidences of existence of a form of singing called the Charya, which was popular between the 9th and the 12th centuries in Bengal, which existed in Odisha simultaneously as the popular Charyapada's form. Jatra performances resemble the Nautanki of Uttar Pradesh, the Tamasha of Maharashtra and Bhavai of Gujarat. Though its birthplace lies in the religious landscape replete with various bhakti cults of Hinduism, by the end of 19th century, it was replaced by morally didactic content and eventually became secular when it gained entry into urban proscenium theatres during Bengal Renaissance. The survival of the form over such a vast period of rapidly changing social milieu, while catering to a heterogeneous audience, has been credited to its innate malleability and ways of adapting to changing social dynamics, and thus staying not just relevant and alive, but also thriving, unlike urban theatre, which at some point gets plagued by its own puritanical intellectualism, disconnects with the current and thus remains perpetually in dearth of mass audience. A Jatra actor can be recognized by the way he stands, a tilted tower. He does not hold himself back, but throws his weight forward. Passionate, charged with energy, he explodes into fiery dialogue. He moves like a tornado in the small arena. In spite of continuous action, he has a firm grip on the ground. A 2.5 foot raised platform, 16 feet square, is the stage, the Azar. The orchestra is seated on 2 ramps, each 6 inches lower than the platform and running parallel on the opposite side. On one side are the percussion players with drums, cymbals and bells. The other side holds the flutist, violinists, clarinist, harmonium player and 2 trumpeters. Huge bulbs fastened to 4 poles pitched at the 4 corners of the azar illuminate the stage and the sweat-soaked faces of the spectators. The women sit on one side as in temple gatherings. The men squat on the other 3 sides. The boys huddle near the rim of the stage. Strings of light run diagonally across the canopied arena. Here and there are neon tubes through bluish gleams. The only property on the stage is a chair. This can represent a throne, a bench, a log of wood, a prisoner's seat, or a tower. Women going to bath in a river put their clothes on it and it becomes the steps of the ghat. Other properties are brought in and removed by the actors themselves. If dramatic necessity requires, a stagehand seated among the musicians saunters up the azar, pick up the properties and disappears. A gangway bordered by short bamboo strips and thin ropes runs from one corner of the stage to the dressing room 60 feet away, which is embellished with a silk curtain bearing the name of the company in red and gold script. Through this gangway, the actor enters and exits. At important moments, it becomes a part of the acting area. If the heroine separates from her lover, she walks haltingly down the gangway, speaking her last lines. If a comedian servant is spurned by his master, he makes his unwilling exit through the gangway, making the audience roar at every step as he whines and gibbers. The gangway can serve as a street or temple path or highway. Marriage parties, funeral processions and armies march down it. Standing on this gangway, the Vivek, a stage character representing the conscious, sings out the inner conscious, sings out the inner conflict of a character and warns him of impending doom. Theatrically, he gives the play another dimension by being on a different spatial level. His words assume a foreboding note as if voiced in a dream, a whisper that has a terrifying clarity. The gangway is in some respects reminiscent of the hanamichi, means flower path of the kabuki theater of Japan, a 4-foot wide polished wood path, flanked by small lights that runs from the stage proper through the spectators to the back of the auditorium. Important entries and exits are made through it. It is an extension of the rectangular stage and at times serves as another acting area. Actor stands on it and strikes a pose, a mai, which in film terms would be a close-up. The Jatra gangway in some ways serves the same function. Sometimes while the other actor is on the gangway visually and psychologically present, his exit is overlapped by the entry of another actor who immediately becomes engaged in action on the stage. The overlapping gives the Jatra performance continuity. The actors don't have to disappear completely in the wings as in Western representational theatre. Jatras are usually epic 4-hour long plays, preceded by a musical concert often lasting an hour, used to attract audiences. The dramatic performance itself is liberally interspersed dramatic monologues, songs and duet dance routines on the folk tunes, which often serve as scene transitions and sometimes mark the end of an act. Jatra plays are usually performed on stages that are open on all sides in open air arenas. The stage often had minimal or no furniture or props. It was rather seen as a neutral space, free to be given a meaning befitting the scene. This technique continued even when Jatra started getting performed in proscenium theatres. Sets, props and lighting came in much later, when it started interacting with Western theatre in late 19th century as urban educated youth started joining the Jatra tradition. The cast is predominantly male, whose members also play the female parts, though since 19th century female actors started joining the cast. Actors often joined the troops at an young age and worked their way up the hierarchy of roles and strive for virtuoso acting and are judged on their vocal prowess, as this determines their ability to capture a large audience with thundering dialogue deliveries and improvised dialogues. The modern version of Jatra features loud music, harsh lighting and dramatic props played on giant outdoor stages, and actors are hired for a season under written contracts. Sometimes ramps are built around the stage and used for dramatic effects, as in kabuki plays. Jatras are often very melodramatic and with highly stylized delivery and exaggerated gestures and orations. Music being the key element of the Jatra, much attention is placed on its selection. Popular tunes are created and incorporated. Musicians sit on two sides of the stage carrying dholak, pakhavaj, harmonium, tabla, flute, cymbals, trumpets, behala and clarinet, all used to heighten the overall dramatic effect of performances that are already franchised, plus most of the singing is done by the actors themselves. Many of the songs were based on classical ragas, a generic character unique to Jatra and part of most Jatra performances. Even today, is the allegorical figure called Bibek or Vivek, means conscious. It performs the function of a moral guardian, commenting on actions of actors and their consequences. Sometimes it elaborates on the feelings of different characters and often steps into a scene unannounced and presents an alternate or philosophical point of view, and all done through singing, something which is done by the chorus in a Greek tragedy. Like Conscious, a character called Niyati, means fate, often played by a woman, while commenting on the scene, foretells or warns the actors of impending dangers. Another distinct feature of Jatra is that the plays begin with the climax, a device used to captivate the attention of the audience. The Jatra session begins in the autumn, around September, around Durga Puja, the beginning of harvest session, when the travelling troupe head out to interior rural regions and ends before the monsoon sets in, and the beginning of the planting season around June. Performances of jatras are commonplace after festivities and religious functions, ceremonies in traditional households and fairs throughout the region where these troops get invited in advance. With the rise of Western theatre in Bengal, it acquired the themes of political protest and social radicalism and finally fell into disrepute in the post-war era, and especially after the entry of radio and television and the rise of upmarket theatre industry, though it continued to exist in the rural areas. Jatra remained a living tradition of musical theatre, and some of the popular Jatra songs got recorded and became popular Bengali songs. Once more, ever-widening audience base, also scripts of old Jatras found their way into books and newspapers started reserving space for Jatra discussion. This revival, seen in the recent decades, started in early 1960s with various theatre groups experimenting with the Jatra form and started attracting serious theatre patrons along with official recognition. 1961 saw the first Jatra festival organized in Kolkata, and every year since, and in 1968, Fani Bhushan Vidya Vinod became the first Jatra artist to receive the Sangeet Natak Academy Award. Earlier, most Jatra companies were owned by actor, managers or singers. Today, most are owned by businessmen and are more prone to commercialization, both in the content as well as in presentation. Even today, in majority, the presentation style is still inspired by cinemas of the regions and television soaps, many a times reflected in the risk content. Yet, within its musical theatre genre, Jatra remains highly adaptable and rapidly evolving form. Several Jatras today pick contemporary news events like the London bombings, 9/11 or the war in Iraq, and highlight local issues as well. Further, as productions are often put up within a month, a clear advantage over theatre and film, Jatras remain topical by drawing upon current imagery of the populace, like when Phulan Devi became notorious in the 80s, a play staged by the same name gained immense popularity, not to mention big revenue. Friends, with this, we come to the end of this lecture. I'll sum it up in few words for you. Though the Jatra form is equally popular in Odisha and the eastern parts of Bihar, it originated in Bengal, the land of paddy fields, boatmen, saint poets, Western industrialization and social and political upheavals. In the 15th century, when the Bhakti movement swept Bengal, devotees went singing and dancing in procession. They sang in temple courtyards, narrating the events of their patron God's life and expressed their devotion with frenzied acting. The collective singing amidst the clang of gongs and fumes of incense produced a mass hypnosis and sent these singers into an acting trance. This singing with dramatic elements gradually came to be known as Jatra, which means to go in a procession. Jatra underwent changes in every period, thematically and musically, but it remained its special flavor. With the advent of films and the growth of a powerful realistic acting tradition in the professional theatre, Jatra suffered a setback. The Jatra actor has a sense of composition and speech delivery. He is superbly aware of the four-sided audience and is sturdily graceful from all angles. There is speed, action, flamboyance. The actors come from all classes: farmers, laborers, fishermen, clerks, peddlers, middle-class businessmen. In this respect, Jatra is unlike the folk theatre of Tamasha, Bhavai, Terukutu and Raslila, in which the profession of actor is hereditary and confined to special castes. Some famous Bengali actors started as amateur Jatra players. Among them are Ahindra Chaudhary, the late Chhabi Biswas, the late Tinakari Mukherjee, Johar Ganguly, the late Phani Roy, who alternated between the films and the Jatra, and the stage and film actor Nitish Mukherjee. An actor who has once known the challenge, the openness, the vitality of the Jatra will always long to repeat the experience. With this, we come to end of this lecture. Thank you very much.